Okay, everybody, so for dramatic effect, I thought I'd bring in the owner of the vehicle because it just looked good to have him with his shirt, that car, and it just seemed like a perfect composition. That'll be the thumbnail for the video, but I'm just gonna go ahead and let him hop off the screen, and I'm gonna come in and tell you all what this is. This is a 1978 Volkswagen Super Beetle Convertible, and it's in sunflower yellow. And it's just kind of a cool little car, so I thought, why not come out here and film it? I know he's selling the car, and it just seemed like a great opportunity. I know it's not a Mini, but just, it's cool looking. I think it's cool looking, these old cars. This thing's older than me. It's held up pretty well. Now, according to the owner's father, he calls this a 20-foot car, and basically what that means is from about 20 feet away, it looks fantastic. You get up close, and you start seeing the scratches and the dents and the other little things. But if you're just driving this on the weekends just because it's a fun car and put the top down, just have fun with it. So this is a 46-year-old car, and I guess at 46 years old, you'd have a few bumps and scratches and dents too. So let's dive in on some of the details though. So as stated, this car is in sunflower yellow. Pretty cool looking. Gas tank at the front. It's just neat to look at these old cars, just opening the doors and everything. And the owner has Beetle floor mats, so very clever. Hand crank windows, because that's the only way to do it. And quarter windows right here, and there we go. To open the quarter window. So there you go, let a little air in, not that you need to worry about having air come in. And let's check under the hood. My mistake, that's the trunk. There's the hood. So this is a Super Beetle, so it says fuel injected. It was fuel injected at one point in its history. It's not now because that is definitely a carburetor. And it used to be blue. Did you see that? Blue paint. No, that's baby blue paint. It used to be blue. So it used to be blue before they painted it yellow. I mean, the engine bay is blue. That's funny. So anyway, it used to be fuel injected, it's now carbureted. So it's called a Super Beetle because it has a better suspension, it's more comfortable to drive than the standard Beetle. A little bit bigger trunk space, which is up there and not back here. And just a cool car. White vinyl interior, and really good shape, honestly. I mean, 1978, good year for a older Beetle. And the doors just feel really, actually the doors look like you could almost take them off. How far do these swing? So this is the days before you had all the things to stop the doors from swinging all the way open, apparently. But that is a solid door. And just really neat. You got the indicators up on the fender here because in America we can't tell if the car is turning or not. Well, honestly, there is no turn signal at the front, so that is your only indicator that you're turning. Otherwise, someone has to put their hand out the window and let them know. So the larger taillights, if you're familiar with cars like Herbie, the little 1964 Beetles, they had much smaller headlights, much smaller taillights, teardropped, and they had to make them larger later on, mainly because of the traffic safety laws that came about. I mean, little car, you kind of have to be visible, and in sunflower yellow, if they can't see the color of the car, they're not going to see the indicators. So you might notice these massive bumpers sticking out really far. This is part of that whole safety thing that happened in the 70s in the United States. They had to make sure that if it hit something, you didn't get killed. And that's what these were. They extended the bumpers out really far from the car, because if you've seen classic European Beetles, you would notice that they have much smaller bumpers than this. And even BMWs and Mercedes had that. If you looked at them from the United States, compared them to the European models, the bumpers were always much smaller and didn't stick out nearly as far. And I almost feel like that kind of ruined the aesthetic a little bit when they did that in the US. Because it was just, you had these gigantic bumpers ruining the curves, the body lines of these cars. But that's part of the times. I mean, you see it on a lot of British roadsters too. If you go and look at some of the ones that were imported to the US, they also had massive bumpers on them too. But this is just pretty cool. And sealed beam headlights, as always. So this is the trunk, not the hood. And decent amount of storage in there.
That's where the gas tank is.
That's where the gas tank is, which is why it smells, and the spare tire, which is why it smells like gas under here.
I just filled it up.
Okay. Is it leaking somewhere?
I probably overfilled it.
So he just filled it up. It is possibly leaking somewhere. It does smell like gas under here, but you know that it has gas in it at least. So there's that. A little carpet in here. I'm assuming that's washer fluid. There's the passenger side mirror. Not that you need one. So nice space under here. Watch your head. Otherwise this car will eat you. I think I shut it. Yeah. Okay, I shut it. Good. The owner's behind me to give me moral support as I come around and mess with everything. So there's the gas cap. Octane minimum 91.
I put real gas in it now, 100%.
So it's real gas in it. But what else is in here? So simulated wood paneling on the dash. It does have, it looks like an updated Pioneer cassette player. So for those of you watching my channel who were born in 2005, you might not know what this is. This is called a cassette player. It plays cassettes. And for those of you born prior to that, you know exactly what this is. Some of you may have had adapters so you could use your CD players. You plugged that right in right there, and then you could listen to your CD player wherever it was sitting in the car somewhere, like your Walkman and so forth. Glove box right here. There you go. And I can't shut it now because the Sharpie fell down. There we go. No airbag because you don't need one, at least not at this time. Hand crank windows, so when you want to roll your window up, you roll it up, revealing that lovely for sale sign, and then you roll it back down. And make sure it comes back. There it goes. Now, before the advent of air conditioning, these quarter windows were very useful because you could flip these around and get some nice air blowing through into your interior. Typically, you would flip these all the way around like this. And if the other piece is at the top, it would stay there and you would allow the air to blow in. Otherwise, you just vent your interior so you have a little bit of cool air blowing through so you're not suffocating if you had the top up. So, convertible top. Now, I did say convertible. This is actually a cabriolet, and the reason why it's a cabriolet, the top is not concealed when it opens. It remains folded at the back of the car. You'll notice the same configuration on Mini Cooper convertibles. They're called convertibles in the US, but they are really cabriolets, and I'll get a lot of European car owners who will correct me every time I call one of these a convertible. So for this video, we will call it a cabriolet, even though I'll probably title it as a convertible. And what else do we have around here? Massive taillights with your reverse and your indicator right there. Just a really cool car. Those big old Volkswagen center caps on those wheels. It's just really neat. So I think the next thing we need to do on this is go for a drive. All right then. We're now off on a drive.
With no seatbelts.
Don't say anything. I honestly couldn't get the seatbelt to work. Could be worse. Could be raining. But nice sunny day. October 13th. Luckily it's not a Friday.
Mount Oriad.
Mount Oriad. That's Kansas. That's University of Kansas right there. That's where I got my bachelor's degree. Which seems so long ago. So how long have you had the car?
About a year and a half.
About a year and a half? Okay.
It was an impulse buy.
I would imagine so.
I was at a estate sale and I saw it in the garage and it was for sale. The yellow and the lack of top drew me in.
You see no top on the car, it's yellow, and you go, I gotta have it.
Yeah.
What's the top speed of this thing, do you think?
I'd say probably, I like to go around 55 or so. That feels like fast enough for me.
So going about 55. I mean, if you go any faster, I mean, there's really not much between the car and the...
I really just tool around town and on the country roads.
On the country roads.
And I hear people say, oh, I went to California in my VW, and I think, oh my goodness, I don't have that much faith. Like, that takes a lot of faith to go cross country in a VW.
Yeah, so people look at you and go like, why would you want to take this car across country?
Because you had to. That was your only option.
I mean, it literally was. It's your only form of transportation,
Yeah.
so you kind of have no choice in the matter.
All right. Coming across my beloved Smith Hall.
There's Smith Hall.
It's still standing.
Yep.
Yay!
Mid-century modern.
They shuttered it though,
Yeah.
but it's still there. That's a win.
Until they find a use for it.
And the Jayhawk Welcome Center with the biggest television in Lawrence.
Yep. So we're giving you a little bit of a tour of Lawrence and KU in the process. So just because there's a lot to see around here.
Then we have the ECM 1959 on the historic register.
Yep.
On the right.
Yep.
And then we have the Oriad, the faux stone hotel.
This is the one the guy said looked like a Soviet shoe factory?
Yeah.
He wasn't kidding.
With faux smokestacks
And
on
with-
top that are really cell phone towers.
I think they were supposed to look like flagpoles. I think they failed at that. Yeah, they failed big time.
We cruised by the stadium, the Gateway Project.
The Gateway Project. So, for those of you who don't know, they tore down a good chunk of the original football stadium to start building this thing, which is just massive. And it dwarfs everything around it. Just slid forward a little bit. Now, the great thing about little cars like this is the fact that if you really needed to, you could reach out to the other side of the car and adjust the mirror. Which used to be there. Well, we have a joke for that. When it's an old car and something falls off of it, that was a shoe.
Uh-huh.
Actually, that's not what the saying is. It was built on a Friday, is the saying. But that was a shoe that we ran over. So if anyone asks, this is not a camera I have hanging outside the door. This is the other mirror.
And it's a happy car.
It is a happy car.
We just cruised by 3 people that totally turned their necks on us.
Yep.
And it wasn't because of Zach and I, it was the car.
Yeah. That's the cool thing about these cars. I mean, I think even bright yellow cars to some degree tend to get people's attention, but an old Beetle definitely gets your attention.
And then I've noticed people sometimes slug each other on the arm when they see me driving this car too. So that's an extra added bonus of
Slug
driving
bug.
the car.
The old slug bug.
It works.
Yeah. It's just neat though. I mean, you can't have a bad day in this thing. I mean, unless it breaks down, but even then, when the tow truck driver arrives, he's gonna have a grin on his face when he
Yeah.
pulls up and sees an old Beetle.